And off we go. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Luchana.
So lovely to have you here. Thanks for the invitation.
Yes, thanks for, this is wonderful.
Yeah. There is a little bit of excitement here, even though it is not our first time like chatting, but it is the first time that we decided to record it. I don't know, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know how to start. Maybe I can ask you something about the story of Nikki. I know some things, but probably it will be interesting for those who will watch this video, who will listening to it. You can share something. What feels right, or I don't know. It's up to you. Yeah, it's up to you. Something about maybe 12-step recovery or
yeah,
as you wish. I'm just throwing things here and there, and if you want, you can share something, and then we'll see.
Yeah. So at a certain time, the character Nikki seemed like a very real, solid entity, a real timeline, a real story, a real set of events that happened, a real, very real, solid beliefs, experiences, stories, past, present, future, like just a serious person, Nikki. And I guess just in the story, in the story, there was always a sense of just this not being okay, a sense of uneasiness, a sense of unrest, a sense of this isn't it. So thus the seeking commenced. So seeking for a better experience, seeking at first it was like seeking boys, seeking better grades, seeking to be a good girl, then seeking drugs and alcohol. That was a big mess, apparently. And then seeking recovery. So seeking recovery in 12-step recovery by way of the 12 steps. And then eventually seeking enlightenment, seeking God, seeking union with God, seeking enlightenment. And the seeking of the seeking of something that was never lost can only result in more seeking and more suffering. So it was a vicious cycle, perpetuated merry-go-round of chasing my tail. And I'm laughing now because it all feels very light and very like a story, like maybe a movie that I watched or whatever. But at a certain time, it felt very real, and at times a lot of suffering. And towards the end, there was a real trying to grasp the ungraspable, trying to understand that which cannot be understood, trying to know that which cannot be known. And all of these are just words, but at a time they felt very like I would hear them and I would try to understand them. And it was because I think maybe it was with the mind. There was trying to get this with something that is illusory, the mind. And so I don't know what happened. Nothing happened, but just just a real clear, maybe seeing, I guess you could say, maybe, you know, that contracted energy of, I am very real, this is very real, this is all very important, just seemed to, I don't know. This is a story too, but
Yeah, I was about to ask you,
yeah.
what did you find? Did you find something?
No, it's like an empty present. It's like there's no present. No, there's nothing. Yeah, nothing was found because nothing was lost. It's only ever just been this, just this.
Yeah, where this laughter comes from.
It can be a joy just to communicate this, you know, but yeah, I mean, just to, yeah.
Yeah, because you've mentioned suffering, or suffering.
Yeah.
So is there a difference, even apparent difference between, I don't know, the Nikki's life or Nikki's story a year ago, and what is the difference?
Oh, okay, well.
Or a month ago, let's say 3 months ago. Okay, not a year.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to, time seems kind of slippery, but you know, I mean, so when the seeker was still very much alive, I guess, I mean, again, but that's the way that it felt when there was a lot of seeking here was torture. I don't know. I mean, it was just hard. I don't know if it's that way for everybody, but it was like I did a lot of different types of spiritual seeking. So so there was a belief, I guess, that I needed to do this particular practice every single day, specifically before a meal on an empty stomach. And you know, although the teacher said that would never get you to enlightenment, there was still a suggestion being made that you have to do this. You have to do this practice. If you don't do this practice, I don't know. I don't even really know, but like, this is what you do. So there was always this story and this belief that I had to do it. And if I wasn't doing it, there was a lot of guilt. And the same thing with any kind of spiritual practice. It's like, you want this thing so bad that you think that you're going to get. And so you try really, really hard. And I don't know, and maybe it's been worded this way, that the whole point of practice is to exhaust the seeker. I don't know, but I was freaking exhausted. I was just exhausted with doing the same stuff over and over again and never really getting anywhere. So just real frustration, just real frustration. And then I came across non-duality. And then I came across, that was frustrating. To be watching all those videos and for there to be a complete, there's nothing on offer at all. No practice, no nothing. And I don't know, I don't remember when you and I started talking, but at a certain point we started talking, you know, there was
Yeah. I also don't remember when exactly, maybe a few months ago. I don't know, really. Yeah, and it happens also like very spontaneously, as far as I remember.
Yeah. Towards the end of the seeking, it was like really honestly, the mind was going so intensely that there was thoughts of suicide. There was just really intense, like, I mean, it can be referred to like as a dark night of the soul or whatever, I don't know, but it felt very existential crisis. And this wasn't my first time. So, but it was maybe the most intense, I don't know. Anyway, at a certain point, there was just like an interest in, there's nothing I can do to get there. I can't do anything. That's obvious. And I feel like I've done everything. I've done every practice. I've done every meditation, whatever. And so I came across, I saw a video of you talking about Liberation Unleashed. So I started to read the book. And there was, I don't know, maybe a shift at that point. And then I contacted you and I said, hey, you know, whatever it was. And then we start talking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I would say that, of course, this is again a story, but here we are having only stories to exchange. Like, when you came into the forum, when you came there, and when we start chatting, and again making these video chats, you were already cooked, so to speak. Of course, no one is being cooked, but yeah, it was. Yeah, something was shifted,
Yeah.
and what we do is just tearing apart the beliefs.
Mm.
That's what I think was happening. And even it's not my doing or your doing as well. It's just there was this conversation, and in between the exchanging of words, some things just seem to be unreal.
Mm.
And they were always like this.
Yes.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, what a beautiful pointer just to look. I don't know. And I don't know if, just look, is there a self? No, I can't find anyone. Nobody had ever asked me that question before.
Mm.
But it was just so freaking obvious. No, there's nothing.
Yeah, when you look, it's obvious. And again,
Yeah.
it is not you looking. No one is looking.
Yeah.
Just looking happening.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. And just to see, I mean, what freedom just to see that the mind, or, you know, the thoughts, everything is just what's appearing to happen. And so thoughts are appearing to happen. And at a certain time, I thought I was a thought, and I thought I could get rid of a thought, and I thought I could do something with a thought. And so it was just this whole chasing of something that isn't even real.
Yeah.
Exhausting. So when somehow maybe this energetic shift happened, it was just so obvious that nothing needs to be done with anything at all. And yet there was an interest in continuing to look at some just really simple questions, and a joy that would come from that.
Yeah, it seems like the joy is guiding, or not the joy, but yeah, this is like joy is making this. I don't know. These are not steps, but yeah, it feels at a certain moment it feels right to do certain things.
Mm.
Before you could say, like, at least here there was a constant doubting, like, shall I do this or that, or how shall I, what shall I choose? Can you spot on this, about this, like, wondering,
Oh my God,
is it okay, is it not okay, what shall I do, shall I go there?
Yeah, that's the me, that's the person, that's the sense of a self, is totally always consulting with an illusory thought life. And so it's dependent on this, all these stories and belief systems. The beliefs, I think, are what maybe give it the fuel. But when that seems to just, it's like, there's no need. There's no need to get, it's just what there's, I guess you would call it intuitive movement, or you would call it spontaneous, or you would call it just an urge to go here or to go there. And there's not any more filtering or referring to a story or to the mind or to the belief system. So there isn't any more resistance towards the free-flowing happening of life. And that's all that this is. Like, no separate Nikki from life, just life appearing as Nikki and whatever else. And so yeah, that friction, I think that's a good description of what happens when the person thinks that they're real and that they have to make a decision. It's just so obvious now that the decision kind of is made, or it unfolds naturally. And it's a joy. It's a joy. And you know, and so you really don't know what's going to happen. Before, it was like you had this idea of like, oh, you know, you never know what could happen. You could die any day. You could go out on a piano and fall on your head. But now it's like, no, not saying that, saying that really every single instantaneous moment is fresh. And even like as a mom, there can be kind of a routine here. As as my son just walks in the room, hey, can you go be with dad? It can be kind of like the same thing over and over again, but it isn't the same thing over and over again, because everything is fresh and brand new, and that's just the way it's experienced, you could say, even though it's not really an experience, but that's how it is. Everything's fresh.
Totally.
So it makes the whole thing more fun. It makes this whole thing alive. It's just aliveness already.
I'm switching constantly from gallery view to speaker view because I'm not sure how it works. A year after doing so many things in Zoom, and I'm still not sure, but let's say like I'm switching again.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask you about this. I know that you have a beautiful family with 2 children, a baby, not a newborn, but let's say still a baby, and a 3 or 4 years old.
3, yeah.
3.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me how this going on through the day or the daily routine happens now? What is Nikki responsible for, and how the responsibility of taking care of 2 kids is happening?
Oh, what a joy. I mean, even just to be reflecting, not that it's just like this, you know, it's just such a joy to, there's no more burden. There's no more responsibility. Responsibility apparently is what's happening, you know, and at a certain time, when I was being challenged with that belief that there isn't a you who is responsible, there a lot of fear would come up and go, well, what do you mean? Like at any time I could just roll over onto my daughter, and you know, like if there isn't a me, then this whole thing's gonna fall apart. If there isn't a me, who's gonna do this? So that was there initially until, you know, whatever this has happened. It didn't happen. But I mean, now it is just seamlessly, the baby wakes up, you respond to a need. It's very natural responding. And it doesn't mean that frustration still can arise. Anything is able to come up, you know, or maybe there needs to be a break here from the kids or whatever, even, but it's just totally, there's no more of a heavy burden of responsibility. And so it's just kind of play, natural play, not playing because I should or I ought to, because that's what a good mother does, but just simply playing because that's actually, maybe the character Nikki has always been more of a playful character, but when the heavy burden of the me is there, it was just like always this constant feeling of you're not enough, you're not good enough, and so you always have to be trying a lot more. And so there wasn't this lightness, and there wasn't this just like spontaneity and being able to go with the flow and with the kids, and it's just kind of what's happening. It's just fun. It's just, and even not, I'm like not always just fun, because again, like say boundaries are being pushed or whatever, there can be a real like, because there isn't somebody trying to push anything down anymore, or try to be spiritual, try to be good. It's like just the rawness of maybe frustration will come, or the rawness, and then it's gone, doesn't stick. Maybe there's an apology that's made, there's comforting, there's talking, but no more walking around feeling guilty about, life momming as apparently comforting and loving and feeding and all this, but also life momming as like conditioning, just the natural conditioning that might come, or natural frustration of just kind of things maybe being what they are at times. So
Yeah, I cannot stop myself by saying like, hopefully there will be more moms like you. Oh my goodness. But it doesn't matter anyway, but it's just what appears like here in response of what I feel.
And it's like when the conditioning can come where maybe I respond in a way that I don't like how that felt, there can even be a desire that comes to, well, maybe I'll I don't know, maybe I'll look. It's hard to say. It's like I follow a few like Instagram pages about conscious parenting or whatever, and so sometimes they have little tips of kind of what to do. So it's not like, oh, it's just, there's no more of an energy that goes towards battering the condition, I guess you could say, because that interest is still there. The conditioning it can still arise. So there can be kind of like a natural, maybe there's other tools that people have when this comes up, but there is no more kind of like, you have to read the whole book and you have to get this all figured out, and if you don't, then you're going to be an awful mom and you're going to mess your kids up, they're going to be in therapy, and that whole real intense feeling has just kind of seemed to not appear anymore.
Nice. Yeah.
Which is a surprise. I mean, the fact that like nothing really happened, but then all of a sudden it was like, wow, that's not happening anymore. So you could say like things stopped happening, or reactions stopped happening, or certain states or feelings stopped happening, and normal, maybe ways that maybe lots of self-consciousness about self stopped happening, because it was seen that there isn't one, there never has been. So anything that's tied into that kind of, I think, just kind of stops happening. Maybe
and it's like a surprise, like, oh, I used to behave like this, or there was this reaction here, and now it's something different. I was thinking to ask you, about, I remember that you shared with me one experience. I'm not going to tell this experience. Like it was like there was a lot of laughter when a certain thought came, like, it's so good that you practice yoga, or something like this. Do you remember about
yes
that? Yes. And a lot of laughter, like hilarious laughter, and your husband was involved.
Yes.
There.
Yeah.
And I just this came into my mind now, and I would like to ask you, how do you feel now about those states? Because there were some more states before, like open state, or expansive, or like lighter. What is your like view now on these states?
Well, wow, what a surprise to learn that this isn't a state.
Yeah.
I mean, that, because like that belief in and of itself can keep, I don't know this, but it seems like if a belief is really like, oh yeah, well, like awakening is like this, it's like this state where you're just laughing all the time, or you're in a state of bliss or whatever, that that veils the fact that it's just this ordinary life. And it's all the aliveness and the wonder and everything out of it. So yeah, I mean, there's been a lot different experiences like that you could call them a glimpse or whatever, that I then chased because I thought that's what I'm after.
Yeah, totally. This is
I'm
it.
after
Yeah, this is it.
that. That's just part of the conditioning. The conditioning is like, it just wants to feel good. And so it thinks like, I just want to feel good. And maybe I know for some people glimpses can be quite not that great, but for me, all of my glimpses seem to have been pretty enjoyable. And so it's like an addictive drug that like, more of that, more of that. And so seeking keeps going around and around. But it was just like, interestingly, that a glimpse appeared, that particular glimpse, and it apparently it ended, but there was more stickiness of, I need to get that back, or that was something special. It was just like what appeared to happen in the moment. And of course, there's the conditioning that was really enjoyable, but there's no more of a preference to want anything, any state, really, like any kind of state. And again, that can be said, but it also could be said, well, yeah, but isn't it nice to, there's a preference here to, I like to be in the sunshine, I like to be warm, but it doesn't really even matter if that's not happening either. Like, so it's total freedom for life just to literally be exactly how it is. And the glimpse of seeing that there never has been there really never has been a Nikki. Yeah. And so not only is there was never a Nikki that ever did yoga or did all these practices or did all this seeking, there was never any apparent person who, any separate sense of a person inside of an apparent body who've done things that you would label as bad. People are walking around feeling guilty about things that they never did. I mean, that thought came and I just laughed and laughed and laughed at the fact nobody's here and apparent things are happening that aren't that great, but then there's just like this carrying of the guilt in the bad. I don't know. That was just really funny too. But yeah, the glimpses, I don't know.
They can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the stickiness to those is no more like, and there is no like comparison between what was before and looking for this apparent shift to happen again, like the same, and all the time comparison between what is happening now, because now it's not feeling like, so the feeling is not like this, it's not like it was before, and all the time it's like, oh no, it's not like this, it's not like this.
Yeah,
it can be a huge trap.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
For no one. Let's see.
Yeah.
I like those sounds, like life sounds. Yeah, the sounds of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the sounds of life. Yeah. You shared also with me that you are helping to some people who are like with addictions, right? Is
Yeah.
still happening this?
Yeah, that's been happening for there's always, I think, maybe been a desire. That's what this is. Like it's very natural to respond with compassion if there's a need.
Hmm.
And so yeah, there's always that this is kind of a helping character, I guess you could say. And so there seems to have been like a lot of time just given to that kind of, but when the person is helping,
Yeah, let's see when the
yeah,
person is helping, what's happening, and when there is no person involved in the helping.
yes,
self-help.
yeah. So when the person helps, the person feels very responsible, like it has an agenda. It wants to see a certain result. It wants,
Mm.
I don't know. There's an energy of heavier responsibility, and maybe a lot of thought, a lot of effort might go into it.
Mm.
But when there isn't a sense of a person or a sense of a contracted energy, it feels just very natural and spontaneous, and like there's no need for anybody to be any. I mean, that view is just stunning. When people as they are, there's no need for them to ever be anything other than they are. That can seem to go, because what was here for a long time was a lot of guilt, shame, neuroses, like bad. And then it was like, so then projecting that then there, and so then those people are too, so then they need to clean their stuff up.
Yeah.
But this, like when there isn't a real problem, when it's seen there's no problem here, there's no problem here, there's just kind of maybe conditioning that comes or whatever, and then you stop to the stopping of that stops happening, of tinkering with the apparent character in the story, then naturally it stops tinkering out there. And it also is seen that it doesn't have to believe, oh, this is a valued character, or this is a good it's just like there's a natural seeing now and wonder of like, wow, like there's just like an enjoyment of how this tends to express, or how it tends to move, or how it tends to enjoy certain flavors and certain, just the whole makeup of it can be quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
And then so it naturally just enjoys the expression of the apparent other. I don't know. I mean, and so I don't know I guess when helping now is like, so this message, I guess there isn't a you, can be quite radical, especially for people who really believe they're real and also are on a spiritual path, and it's really going somewhere and it really means something. Like this is very threatening to that kind of a story that's playing out with a person. And so not everybody that I apparently like where there is helping, they might not want to hear this at all. So there can be kind of a natural discernment around who might be interested in looking at this, who might be interested, I don't know, who might be tired of seeking, or who might be. And so then it's like that, like maybe I'll, and then when people seem like there's an interest there, or there's a desire to look or explore, then that happens. And apparently, and yeah, there's just an intuitiveness of sensing, even what words to use, or what, it's all just very natural and spontaneous, and quite I don't know, I guess there's a real beauty in it, because it's I don't think that, like, I don't know that there are like all these separate things that have all these different levels of value. And so one thing is more valuable. It's not like that, but it's like there is something about just looking like this and talking like this that feels, I don't know. It's hard to put words to. I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. The enjoyment is just a great sign, if there is a sign at all, but this is the sign. Yeah, enjoyment, which brings, yeah, and I like what you say, like there is no need to go like on the street and say to anyone like, you know, there is no you. Bye. Hello and goodbye.
Yeah, it could be so jarring, or it can also just be like, I mean, no, none of that narrative isn't happening, but like if you thought about,
I've heard Richard Sylvester, I think, he said that if you want to argue with someone or to have a good like fight, you just throw in their face like, you don't have a free will. No, you don't exist and you have no free will. And there is no free will. I like this very much. I love it. I do.
Yeah. Yes, there are certain individuals where you're like, never gonna talk about this with them. You know. But who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? No one knows. Yeah. Exactly. We don't know. We don't know that we are going to talk like this.
Yeah.
It just happens again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so nice.
And just a joy.
Oh yeah,
and
go on.
Yeah, just a joy. What joy to not. This is enough. This is just enough. It's complete. It's whole. Yeah. So that's obvious, and there can just be absolute doing nothing at all. Just absolutely contentedness and just looking at random anything.
Yeah, and also I like this that you mentioned about the value and the importance of things. Like it's such a joy to talk like this and to not to know, but yeah, to see that there is no importance in this talk, even in anything. Not even in anything, there is no importance. It just happens. Yeah,
I mean, even so, like when I think when people might hear this, when you start to say that like story, like it's all story, people are just talking about a story, then they view that as what you're saying is it's a negative thing. But and it's not, because when there is when this sense or this apparent shift or anything, it's like now it's free to talk about stories and talk about anything and talk about, I mean, I don't even know, and just it's free to, its expression is free to be as a,
to be anything, to talk about the story, to talk about anything. Yeah, why not? Yeah. There are no restrictions. Yeah, stories can be playful when there is no like suffering involved, or no like when there is no heaviness. Stories can be playful. Why not?
All equal. And in a certain time with a heavy person, it feels like this story is more special than that story. This story it's more important because like something wow happened. And so now it's just like it's all equal, but it doesn't mean that they're all not alive in their emptiness. There's, you know, I mean, because it's seen that they are just storytelling, but who cares? It's just all, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Who cares? Yeah. I don't know what to ask you. At a certain moment, like thought seems to just don't come up, like, and there is this not blankness, but yeah,
Yeah.
but it's pleasant. It's not unpleasant at all. It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's just like joy of sitting and sharing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done a couple of recordings of kind of me talking about some things.
Mhm.
And it seems to, there's this natural stopping.
Yes, yes.
And then just this fullness in that. And then just kind of like a recognition that like the emptiness or this is the thing that kind of is always, it's never changing, or it's, and I don't know, it's what this is, I don't know. But um maybe it's the lack of the story, or the lack of knowing, or the lack of the me, or the whatever that's just full, and it's it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Do we going to see this recording soon? It's my next question.
Oh yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just
Lovely.
record a couple things, and sometimes I send it to people who might be interested.
Oh,
And mm, yeah, there's a few of us who have been kind of talking about this, who are meeting on Thursday nights. So that's been kind of a fun thing.
lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, so great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there is something like when we gather like this, something is happening there. I don't know what, but it's just joyful and pleasant.
Yeah, it really can be. And I don't know, at a certain point though, listening to something like this, or hearing the message about, hopelessness in the seeker.
Yeah.
When you are really a seeker, woo, when you feel like a seeker, that can be quite grueling.
Yeah, it's harsh. It can be
Mm-hmm.
harsh.
Mm-hmm. But like like this was like, I can't stop. It's like, and other people were like, well, just don't. Or like, what, like, you're like, and it was just like, there was a kind of intuitive knowing in the midst of that seeking that was like, knew that it didn't have any choice, that there wasn't any choice.
Mm.
And I don't know, not know that there isn't any choice, but just like an intuitive yes. It was like, this is just what's happening, and there wasn't a real fight. I don't know if there was a fighting of it or not. I can't
Mm.
really say, but
Yeah, and the seeking seems to stop. There is no seeking going on, like seeking for something in particular, but there can be still like enjoyment or like resonance to some of the same videos or the same people. Is it like this? Something like this?
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I love listening to this. I love watching non-duality speakers. I watch something else too, like Netflix or whatever. But it's just, there's an urge to like, oh, let me check something out, and then there's watching it happening.
Yeah, yeah.
And and sometimes a lot of laughter, sometimes just watching, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, but there's, yeah, the seeking has stopped, and sometimes it's hard to even know that, like, you might not even realize it again, because it can be so subtle. I mean, for some individuals, apparently it can be very, but maybe some, they slip in, I don't know. But it was like, the watching or of non-duality still takes place.
Yeah, and it will take place as long as it takes, like.
Yeah. There's no problem. That's the thing, is who cares? There's no problem. It's just what's apparently happening. So, and that isn't like a belief or like a thing that I'm adopting now, adding on to this so that I can use it as a tool to like feel better or like be, it's just obvious. Like, it's just kind of like an obvious thing. And so you've heard that, like, oh yeah, no, and maybe at a certain point there was trying to apply this kind of.
Yeah, I think it's an unavoidable, like everyone tries this at a certain point.
Yeah, like I can remember going, this is just what's happening. This is just what's happening. This is just
it's like a mantra, new mantra.
Okay.
Yeah. This is just what's happening. Yeah.
Hear that so many times. It's just what's apparently happening. It's just what's apparently happening. Like, there's like, no, but you see it as something very special, and I don't see it as that. But that's just like that's a lie. And then also, like, this is just what's apparently happening. I'm like, it's like, oh, I can remember, and there was a little bit of a aha. Just what's apparently happening. Like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, but for a long time, or maybe not for a long time, but like it seemed like I was hearing that and it wasn't heard, and Anna Brown, who I've been to some of her satsangs or sanghas, whatever she calls them, and now I lost my thought. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
I forgot to switch on my lights, but anyway, we will finish like soon.
Okay.
Just mention that I'm a little bit in dark.
Yeah.
Dark matter. Yeah. Such a joy.
There is an urge here too to make a video about the apparent dark night.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, because it just seems, I don't know, there's a desire to want to do that. Yeah.
Great. I will look forward to it. And really, I would love that we continue with our meetings. Like, it's just such a joy.
Yes, it is.
In front of everyone. Yeah, I just love these meetings as well.
Yeah.
It's really such a, I don't know, what is this? I don't know. Did you feel like when the meeting is over and there is this like something like I don't know, a joy or a lot of energy, like?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's like, I asked one of my, are you talking about when I've done meetings with other people?
Yeah.
I don't know if we would do it again. I said to my friend, would you want to do that? And then he said, oh, there's all this energy. I'm like all, and it's yeah. I think you described it as like a bubbling up.
Exactly. Yeah. Something. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. That's what's so cool about this too, because there's no one size fits all with awakening as far as like how it all plays out, how it feels, and so like for me towards the apparent end, it was like this kind of in my belly, a lot of feeling sensations, a lot of feeling the pain, which was a suggestion that was made to me by somebody. If you're heavy in the thought, feel just the sensation in the body. And so there seemed to be a lot of stuff right in the belly. That was just kind of pain, but this is just what happened here. It doesn't really mean anything at all. And so, I've heard it expressed by other people that it seems like there's just like a gradual, and nothing is really happening in the body. And but this, yeah.
At the end, nothing happened. Like someone said, from the beginning, nothing happened.
From the beginning.
And I'm totally in dark already.
Yes, yeah.
It's been a lot of fun here. And thank you for accepting again. Really.
Thank you so much.
Love you.
Love you, Luchana.
Stop it now.
Hey.